Hello, welcome. Buenas noches. Thank you all for joining. Give everyone a few minutes to log in. So wonderful to be together. We'll begin in just a moment. Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started now. Welcome to this workshop on Plant Medicine Integration 101. Thank you so much for joining. It's really beautiful to have so many incredible people here tuning in who are genuinely interested in plant medicine integration and this beautiful topic of the unfoldment and embodiment of the wisdom teachings that the plants give to us. And this topic of integration, it's very much a buzzword, it's very much a hot topic these days. And truly, it is a study, something that takes years to cultivate and be able to tap into the potency of the vast, immense amount of knowledge and wisdom that exists within the plant kingdom, the fungi kingdom, within the ancestral world that we travel to when we go to work with plant medicines, entheogens, fungi. These are master plants, they're allies that are here to accompany the human species in this source for wisdom and unfoldment and awakening. But how we go about integrating those out of body experiences is very much a complex process. And so today in this workshop, we are going to cover the basics of the plant medicine integration process, something that I have learned over the last 11 years or so that I've devoted my life to working with plant medicines. But before we dive in, I'd like to introduce myself for those of you who might not know me. My name is Mariah Gannessa. I am the founder of Four Visions, and over the last decade, I have been devoting my life to studying with the plants, with ancestral wisdom cultures, and I've had the great privilege and honor to study under and receive teachings and initiations from different elders, lineage carriers, wisdom keepers throughout the indigenous traditions, mostly South America. And so, Four Visions was started out of my dream to be able to create a platform where we could share these incredible healing modalities, teachings, and tools that the wisdom keepers and these sacred ancestral cultures have stewarded for thousands of years. And it was actually through my own healing journey, my own journey through the plants, that I was able to understand truly through my own healing experience that these tools are so vital for the awakening and remembrance process for all of humanity. And so Four Visions was birthed out of this process. And my studies with integration also have, accompanied my own journey, my own work and studyship, apprenticeships, and my own challenges of navigating the ceremonial world, the world of the animals, the spirits, nature, the world where we enter into the other worlds, the invisible world, the world where we have connection to the force of creation. So learning how to integrate all of the teachings, all of the visions, all of the downloads, the inspiration, the guidance into my everyday life was my initiation and learnings. And throughout the journey, I have received a lot of incredible insights of how one goes grounding in the teachings of plant medicine to live an authentic life of well being. And that's ultimately why we go to work with visionary plants. And so being able to see the fruits of our labor in the lives that we are creating is perhaps one of the best ways to evaluate how we're doing on our path and how the work is going. And so in today's workshop, we are going to be covering some of the primary focuses of what I believe to be fundamental to this process of integration. Integration is truly a lifelong journey. And it's not just integration from plant medicine, right? We're constantly integrating in our lives. We're integrating messages. We're integrating our spiritual practice. We're integrating our connection and our understandings, our downloads into our relationships, into our projects, into the ways in which we show up in every moment, in every instance. And so this process of integration very much becomes a lifelong part of your journey once we commit to it. And today we'll be touching on a few seedlings of wisdom that I've learned along the way that I find to be fundamental. So there are three major topics that we'll be covering today: how to talk about our plant medicine experience with others, incorporating plant allies into your integration process, best practices for integration, and then finally, at the end, there'll be some time for Q&A. I'm really excited to jump right in. Before I do, just want to touch base with you all since it's a webinar. I can't see everyone, but maybe you could just drop in the chat how you're feeling this evening. Make sure that you can hear me well. Maybe drop something in the chat just about the sound and what you're most excited about learning today. And then we will get started. And if there are questions that come up throughout the talk, please either drop them in the chat or you can save them for the end for the Q&A. Okay, I'm seeing some people raising their hands. You should see a Q&A section. The chat is disabled. Okay, great. Sound is good. Chat is disabled. Let me see how I enable it. Well, you know what? We can just do questions. This is fine for today. Perfect. Well, I'm happy to connect with you all through this and just make sure you're hearing me. Okay, let's get started. So, the first topic that we're going to be covering is this element of sharing about our healing journeys. And this is a topic that is really important because whether we're talking about our experiences right after we get home from a retreat, whether we're talking about it with our partner or with other members of our family, whether we're sharing about it with friends and loved ones, there's nuances to how we go about talking about our experiences, especially if we're sharing with someone who has never experienced plant medicine. As many of us are familiar, plant medicine experiences, depending on the plant ally that you're working with, can cause a whole different range of experiences, reactions, not just the visions and the beauty of the communion, the connection, the inspiration, but it can also be incredibly powerful, potent, deep. It can be exhausting depending on the type of plant medicine you're working with. There might be vomiting, diarrhea, uh, shakiness, sweating, tears. Even it's common to faint, right? Or to lose consciousness. And so all of these wide array of experiences or reactions that we can have with the plant medicine, once you've experienced plant medicine, we often are very excited about the full totality of what we just went through and even inspired to share right away with others. The thing is that if someone has never experienced plant medicine, hearing about some of these intense experiences or reactions can be a turn off for someone. And it can even cause fear when someone doesn't fully understand. For example, let's take the experience of vomiting, of purging. In Western society, purging is associated with sickness, with dis-ease, right? And so anyone who has gone through a plant medicine experience where there is vomiting or purging has had the experience of the liberation, the cleansing, and has had a introduction on some level, depending on how much time you've spent working with plant medicine, to what this process really is. But if you never had that introduction, hearing about your loved one's journey of vomiting and going to the bathroom all night can be very abrasive and can actually cause people to be turned off from experiencing the medicine. And if anyone has had that experience of sharing with someone, maybe oversharing, you are aware of what that can sometimes feel like in that moment where you've overshared. But first and foremost, before we go too deep into how to go about sharing, ultimately, these experiences that we have when we're journeying with the medicines are so sacred and they're so intimate. When we go to drink a cup of medicine or we go to sit with a certain plant or fungi, there is an intimate relationship taking place between us and the spirits of nature. And so, regardless of whether or not there is a shaman that is serving you the cup or doing healings in the ceremony or facilitating the ceremony, whatever experience as far as the guide in the container is, at the end of the day, it's a very direct connection between you and nature. When we have that direct connection, it's this beautiful weaving that takes place between us and the greater creation. It's a moment where we get to weave our dreams, weave our visions for our life, receive profound guidance, counsel, and wisdom. When we receive these beautiful visions, this beautiful insight, it's best to cultivate and tend to that insight and wisdom from that place of guarding it or keeping it close to the heart. That way, when we go into our lives, we can start to bring into action and take action based off of the guidance that we were given, the messages that we received, and bring it forth into manifestation. So, this process of grounding in and bringing forth into reality the visions that we receive when we journey with plant medicines is best to guard, because when we open up too much about the processes of the visions we had, oh, I had a vision that I am going to become this or that I'm going to do this. The visions that we experience when we're traversing the worlds of plant medicine show us our potential. They show us our capacity. And sometimes, and depending on the plant and the experience that you're having, sometimes the medicines talk to us in metaphors and parables. So it's not always linear or concrete, the messages or the visions that we get. And so, in order to be able to extract the full potential of whatever message, insight, inspiration that we were given through that experience that we had, it's best to keep it close to our heart, to place it into our prayer and meditation, sharing about these things once they've come into manifest is a beautiful time to reflect. But in general, it's always really, really recommended to keep whatever work was given to you by the plants close to your inner altar, your prayer for your life. Go tending to those things, and then as they come forth and they are brought into light, then it's a moment to celebrate and reflect. And in this process, we learn so much more about the journey. Just because we were given a vision of what we need to do or how we need to be or what we need to transform into, it doesn't mean that we wake up from ceremony that person or ready to receive that gift or blessing or project. So, because of that, the integration process is a time to go cultivating those insights, and it's a time to go dialoguing, conversing with the spirits of nature so that channel maintains and stays open. After we work with plant medicines, we are very connected to the spirits of nature. And so, one way that we can cultivate this connection is by keeping some things for ourselves and keeping this element of intimacy with the messages and the insights that we received. Of course, sharing on some level our experience with loved ones is a good thing, especially if you went down and you had a retreat, and then you go home and you're received by your family. Of course, you are going to want to share on some level what you just went through. But it's important to recognize that number one, you're still very much in it. You're still in this process of translation of what just happened, integrating it, grounding it into your physical body. And so to speak with awareness and to practice discernment. Discernment can be applied in a variety of different ways. The first, recognizing that depending on the person that you're sharing with, each person has a different level of capacity for how much they can receive and how much they can meet you. And so, for example, how you might share with your mother or your father about what you just went through might be different than what you might share with a dear friend or even your partner, even if they haven't ever experienced plant medicine. And so, this element of really tuning in with the person that you're connecting with about your journey and asking, in words, what can this person hold? How do I want to share about my experience? And then sharing about the beautiful things, and not going too deep into the trauma that you healed from your childhood, or the memory that you remember that you were able to clean and transform. While this is beautiful and there are moments for sure to share about this, to really just focus on how you're feeling after your experience, focus on highlighting, how supported you felt, if in fact you did feel supported in the container. And also just your reflections of what the experience brought you and what you're working with, or perhaps even also sharing insights of what you want to start to cultivate. Perhaps with your partner, you share that you are going to start wanting to place that intention to cultivate more presence in your relationship. And that's something the medicine taught you. So things like this are really beautiful to share, but really, treading lightly when it comes to sharing about all the nitty gritty details of your experience. And the other element is also to avoid preaching. And when we first experience plant medicine, it's very normal to be so inspired and so excited about this healing modality that you have uncovered and discovered, that you want to go shout it from the rooftops and tell every single person in your entire life about ayahuasca or San Pedro or peyote or combo or whatever master plant you're working with or animal medicine that you're working with. And so with this, we want to really avoid preaching. And if you're here, you've probably heard before that the medicine's called to you, right? And you might have even experienced this, feeling called to go to sit with the medicine. So, the very best way to share about our experiences is not so much by talking about the details of what we went through, but rather by through inspiring people through our own change and transformation. I have to share that for me personally, it wasn't until my family really started seeing that I was changing that they were interested in what I was doing. And so one can talk and talk and talk and have so many nice, beautiful things to say about these healing therapies. But at the end of the day, if people who love you, and really, see you transforming, changing, empowering yourself, making new decisions in your life, if they see that, that is going to be the best way to inspire our loved ones. And so over the years, I learned to talk less about what I was doing in the ceremonies and my studies and my apprenticeships, and to do more, to show up more with more presence, with more love, and to really embody the teachings that the medicines were giving to me. And in this way, naturally, your loved ones are going to take note of this change and transformation within you. And ultimately, they will ask, what are you up to? What are you doing? I see you're different, you're changing, and I want a cup of whatever you're taking. So it's a really beautiful thing to inspire others simply by the way that we're transforming and changing, and that is ultimately, I would say, the most important element of how we go about navigating and deciphering how we share. in about our plant medicine experiences. And then the final element of this part is finding the people you can share with. And there, that really comes into play the people who either have had these experiences before and are also walking the plant medicine path, or have had other types of spiritual studies where they can hold this amount of transformation and information, this profundity of downloads and rapid evolution that the plants give to us. And so there could be people in your life who might not work with plant medicines, but can hold that space with you. Those are the people that you want to seek out and create a network of. One of the most challenging things in integration is we go from this beautiful container, whether it be a retreat or a ceremony, a workshop, and then we go back into our daily lives and we're surrounded by a whole different type of people, right? People who are not committed to spiritual healing and evolution, people who have no interest in waking up. And that can be the most challenging part of integration for people, especially, when we're going back into the concrete jungle, right? We're going back into the cities, or we're going back into our cubicle, our 9 to 5 job. There's nothing more isolating than that. There's nothing that is more challenging than that. And in a few minutes, we're going to be talking about different tools that you can utilize to support the process of integration, but ultimately building community, even if it's not, in your physical vicinity, but it's a friend that you went to the retreat with that you can call up, or it's a community of people virtually that you can connect with that are on this path. This is so crucial to success in integration, because these are the types of people that are going to help you stay accountable. These are the types of people who are going to continue to inspire you to keep going. These are the types of people that you can share with honestly and in a safe way about challenges that come up in the process of navigating the process of integration. Because one thing that we'll be speaking about in a few minutes is that integration is very much a process of peaks and valleys. There are highs and lows. There are moments where we feel we got it. We understood everything that the plants told us. We are doing our very best and we're seeing beautiful change and transformation in all aspects of our life. And then there are the moments where we doubt. We doubt everything. We doubt our ability to do this work. We doubt our progress, and we feel like we're not improving or making any progress whatsoever. We doubt whether or not the messages and the profound visions that we had in those moments of deep, deep clarity were even real. And so, in those moments of doubt, it's incredibly important to have allies that you can count on. And of course, there's the spiritual allies through prayer, meditation, your direct connection with creator. That's very important. But there's something about spiritual companionship on the path that becomes fundamental in our success and our ability to sustain the frequency and the vibration. And so that is the final piece regarding sharing, that if you are reflecting and you're seeing about how your integration process is, if you're struggling at any point, I would highly recommend reflecting on whether or not you have a support network of people that you can talk to and that you can confide in and share to, that extent that feels right for you, while keeping that intimacy, of course, but also people that you can go to for guidance, people who are going to lift you up. We're going to help you stay on the course and inspire you to keep rising up and keep growing and evolving. So that is the first topic that continues to weave and have so many beautiful layers to uncover through the process. So that's something that we touch on a lot in our integration program. But these are a few of the seedlings that I'll leave you with tonight, in hopes that this can support you in being able to deepen your roots, your foundation, and your connection. We will go on to this next process, this next theme, which is incorporating plant allies into your integration process. Before I begin, I'm going to take a moment and pray with some mambe and ambil, which is medicines that come to us from Colombia. And these medicines bring the sweet word, they open the heart, they call forth clarity, and are really beautiful for bringing forth that channel of heart opening and love. So I'll just take a moment before we begin this section. One of the most beautiful things that we receive when we go to work with plant medicines is a direct connection with nature. Through our journey and our ceremonial work, we are able to open a door where we are able to find our inherent place within all of creation. There's something so magical and beautiful about this process because, like I was sharing about a minute ago, so many of us are living in worlds where we're very disconnected from nature. This disconnection and separation from nature is, I believe, one of the fundamental elements that cause our inherent separation, pain, sadness, and fear, because we do not feel worthy of being part of all of creation. And so this is something that we're gifted and given when we work with plants, this feeling of unity, this feeling of our rightful place within the greater design of the force of life and all of nature. We want to be able to sustain that connection when we go back into our lives. And that's where the plant allies and plant tools come into play. And so we talk a lot about building a toolkit or building a set of allies that you're in relationship with. The beautiful thing about plants is they all have a spirit. All plants speak. They have medicine and information. Each plant has its own design and has its own wisdom and downloads of information that we can utilize to strengthen our spiritual fibers. And when we come into relationship with these plants, they become allies. When we have allies in our lives, everything is easier, right? We know this. And so just like our relationship with Creator, our prayer practice, our dialogue with the force of life is an ally to us, or a spiritual practice is an ally to us, or a tool. Plants are also a tool. And as you go starting to cultivate these relationships with the plants, they transform into companions and they accompany you. It's as though they start to sit on your shoulders and support you, witness you, accompany you, walk you through life. This is a very beautiful thing, and I believe it to be fundamental to a successful integration practice. My personal studies have taken me to the healing tradition of the Inga people in Colombia, the culture of Yahe. And one of the things I really love about studying with the Inga is that they are first and foremost botanists. And so I've learned a tremendous amount of beautiful things about how to be in relationship with plants all the time. A lot of people put a heavy focus on the ceremony and the plant medicine ceremony or the plant diet, and then they go back into their normal life and there's no dialogue. There's no cultivation of that connection. The plants are just like our friends or a loved one or even a partner. If we don't call them, if we don't check in with them, and then one day we just arrive and need something from them, they're going to be like, what's going on? I haven't heard from you. And so when we're talking about cultivating or deepening our relationship with nature and with the plant kingdom, it requires this openness. It's an openness of the heart. It's a spaciousness and an opportunity to connect on a regular basis. And the beautiful thing about plants is that there are so many ways to connect with plants and with nature. And so I'm going to touch on a few really beautiful tools that are really supportive and helpful. But I want to preface it by saying that connecting with plants is truly as simple as going into your garden and harvesting some fresh basil or fresh lemongrass or fresh rosemary, taking it to your kitchen and praying over these plants, asking this plant for whatever you're needing, whatever you are needing support with or guidance for, and praying into these plants and then infusing it into a tea and drinking a tea. This doesn't have to be, crazy formulas or even, crazy shamanic ancestral plants. Our platform was designed to source these special tools because we believe in their power and they're very incredible healing tools and allies. But at the end of the day, all plants are equally powerful. There's no hierarchy in the plant kingdom. And so basil or rosemary, lavender, sage, lemongrass, all of these beautiful plants that you probably have growing in your backyard or close to where you live have a plethora of wisdom and information for you. And so, deepening your relationship with plants is an absolutely incredible way to open your heart to sustain this connection that you experience in the ceremony. So, I'll first touch upon plant baths and healing lotions. Plant baths are baths or infusions of plants and herbs that are used and poured over the body to connect with the plant technology. Healing lotions in our plants infused usually in an alcohol or some form of glycerin or preservative that allow it to be preserved and then applied just like the plant baths where you pour some into your hands, you place your prayers, you blow. This blow is representative of the breath of life, and as you go blowing, placing your prayers, the plant allies recognize you, they meet you, they see you, they feel your energy, and they observe and receive what you're needing. It's like this beautiful meeting or encounter recognition. And then when you go to apply the lotion or you pour the plant bath over your body, you're communing from this place of prayer and intention and dialoguing and conversing with the plants. And then the plants go bringing you whatever you're needing: sweetness, courage, understanding, strength, wisdom, grace. And so this is a beautiful process to be in relationship with plants, and it requires intentionality, but it can be done so simply as well. And so these tools are incredibly supportive in the integration process. I'm not going to go too in depth with how to use plant baths and healing lotions right now, but ultimately, many of these tools have sweet plants in them. And so the sweetness is very important after integration or after our plant medicine ceremonies during our integration, especially in our immediate integration, because during plant medicine ceremonies, we're extracting a lot of bitterness. There's trauma, pain, memories that are being cleansed and organized. And so ultimately, this taking out of everything that no longer serves can leave an emptiness. And so if you've ever experienced plant medicine where you had a really strong journey, a really strong experience, and then afterwards you're left feeling kind of empty, it's not because the plant medicine didn't work. It did exactly what it's meant to do, but there's still more work to complete the process. Sometimes we're able to resolve everything that we need in the completion of the journey itself. Other times, and it's more often the case than not, there's more work that has to be done in the days and weeks that follow plant medicine to be able to complete the process and bring the sweetness to fill that emptiness that is now, released of whatever stagnant energy was there, to fill that space with sweetness, with hope, with renewal, with a new vision for your life and for yourself and everything that you want for your life. And so utilizing sweet technology, the sweet plants, is a beautiful practice to do this. The same with the smudging agents, sage, copal, palo santo. These are incredible tools to have in your toolkit and to have upon your altar and to call upon. Because essentially, these powerful tools cleanse the space, they lift the energy, they remove heavy energy, heavy thoughts, negative thoughts. And sometimes we, go through those moments of contraction after ceremony, and we're feeling great one moment, the next moment something happens that was unexpected, and we're thrown for a loop, and all of a sudden, we're feeling bad, we're feeling sad, or we're feeling heavy, and we don't know how to move through that energy. And so utilizing smudging agents to keep your home light and clean, to keep yourself and your energy light and clean. You can use smudging agents to cleanse your work, your car, your animals, your loved ones. It's a beautiful tool, and smudging agents, each one has a different property. And so ultimately, you have to learn a little bit about each plant, each resin or plant or wood, and understand about their properties. And we have on our website, you can learn about the different properties of copal, sage, palo santo. And then once you start learning with them, then you go through this process of entering into a relationship with the smudging agents. And then as you go getting to know them, your own intuition and your own connection with these plant allies will tell you when to use which one. And so this is also a really beautiful experience and a really beautiful way to deepen your relationship with plants and nature. And having a few different types of smudging agents to be able to call upon is a really great thing, because then it allows you to tune in and ask, okay, what is this moment needing? Okay, the Palo Santo. No, I need the copal in this moment. The copal is talking to me. The copal is calling to me, asking me to smudge with the copal. And so it's a very beautiful process to go walking more intimately with the plants. And this is part of the empowerment process too, because there's a certain level of empowerment that we experience when we know the plants and the plants know us. And so this also becomes, a spiritual study and a beautiful process to find your strength and your power. I'll touch briefly upon microdosing, hape, sananga, and cacao. All of these are very powerful, potent allies to work with during integration. And, each one has their own properties and really, are good for certain people in certain situations. Microdosing, whether it be with mushrooms or whether it be with ayahuasca, like with our ambisacha microdose tincture, these medicines are subtle doses. They're so subtle that you're working on very subtle frequencies with these master plants and fungi. And so they can be incredibly supportive for maintaining this connection, the frequency, as well as sustaining the prayer that you cultivated during your connection with the master plant. And so, microdosing during integration is an incredibly powerful tool for people in different situations. The hape, which is a sacred herbal snuff from the Amazon, is an incredible prayer practice and really supportive complement to cultivating your relationship with the spirits, with the plants, and supporting your meditation practice. Hape is incredibly grounding and supports with your concentration and your focus. And oftentimes, what gets us tripped up in the integration is simply our lack of discipline and focus. And so hape can be an incredible tool to use either regularly or in certain moments throughout your integration journey, whenever you're needing to come back into your alignment, your place of clarity, your place of connection, and ultimately your inspiration for what you're doing this work. There are many different types of hape, many different plant blends. And so, it also requires choosing the right blend that's going to support you with whatever you're working on in that moment. Sananga is another powerful plant ally that works to heal and cleanse the eyes, to open the spiritual sight, and to nourish and support the nervous system. Oftentimes, when we come back after plant medicines here ceremonies, we can feel really overstimulated, and it can be difficult to come back into reality. And so, having tools such as Sananga that help to support and nourish our nervous system, that help us to calm and find that place of inner peace is incredibly beneficial. And again, the Sananga are eye drops, the Hape is a snuff. All of these tools are taken in different ways, they're worked with in different ways. And so you have to really tune into your intuition to see which tool am I being called to work with. The cacao, a ceremonial cacao, is an incredible ritual practice to incorporate as well, opening the heart, grounding, providing energy, clarity, and focus as well. The cacao is consumed, right, through a drink typically. And so asking yourself, how do I want to commune with plants? Do I want to ingest something or apply something internally, or do I want to work more externally through like smudging agents or healing lotions? That can be a really good first question to determine which plants you go incorporating into your process and your spiritual studies and your spiritual practice. And then after you've decided that, asking, okay, what's my intention? What do I want to work with? Okay, I want to work with the heart. So maybe I look to cacao, or maybe I look to a hape that has rose in it, or another heart opening herb, or maybe I look to microdosing, but I do that with specifically the intention of opening the heart. Everything always with intention. That is the key to cultivating a relationship with plants. You have to talk, you have to dialogue, you have to connect, pray. So ultimately, whenever you go to work with whatever plant, you always want to introduce yourself or present yourself, say hello, share how you're feeling in this moment, communicate to the plant why you're working with them in this moment. Okay, I'm going to pray with you, sacred hapecito, because in this moment, I'm needing more clarity, or I'm needing grounding, or I need to purify some negative energy or negative thought patterns that I'm seeing resurface in this moment. So I'm going to pray with the hapecito to cleanse that and to break that energy and put a shift towards a positive, lighter energy, an energy of joy, an energy of love, which is my inherent birthright, which I know to be my inherent design. I want to come back to that design. And so this is really the key and an important element that I can't really stress enough when deepening our relationship with the plants. And ultimately, this process is continuously unfolding, and it's very beautiful. It's really like never ending. Deepening our relationship with plants is a lifelong journey and study, and we're always receiving more. And each time we go to the plants, they have more information for us, and it's a very beautiful thing when we go into this intimate work with the plants, because we get to this moment where we know the plant and the plant knows us. And then at that moment, we can invoke the spirit of that plant. We can feel their presence. We can call upon their strength or their wisdom, whatever medicine or information that they have already given to us in the past, without even needing to work with them in the physical. And this is a whole nother level, but something that you can work towards as you start to deepen your relationship with certain plant allies. And there'll be certain ones that call to you more. There'll be certain plants that call to you in certain moments or in certain times. And it's really important to listen to that and to trust that inner voice of wisdom that is wanting to come forth and be birthed within you, because this journey is all about awakening your divine essence, your divine connection with nature. You are part of nature. And so this whole journey of working with plants is to come back to that, to remember that, and to return back to that place of knowing. I could talk for hours about this topic. It truly is my very favorite topic to talk about. And there's some great questions that are popping up in the chat as well. So I will get to those in a few minutes. I'm going to keep moving for the sake of time and move on to the next section of our talk, and ultimately just continuing to discuss here these best practices for integration. So we touched a little bit about the peaks and the valleys. Ultimately, this process of integration becomes our spiritual practice, right? It becomes our spiritual studies. And for anyone who wants to continue evolving, wants to continue growing and expanding, or wants to continue activating the potential that you were shown during your experiences journeying with medicine, there is a requirement of commitment, of discipline, and consistency. And so these three elements are truly key because the 50% of the work that takes place during the plant medicine ceremony, this is a very common term, that 50% takes place in the ceremony and the other 50% takes place after the ceremony. I don't know if I am completely sold on that percentage breakdown, but I do know that the work does not end when we go home. And so, what that means is that we have to create spaciousness through our spiritual practice, through our prayer and meditation, through seeking out forms to bring expression or manifestation to this inner wisdom that is wanting to come through us. Cultivating our gifts, right? This is a really big one, especially with the bounty that the plant medicines give to us, and just the awakening and the glimpse into our fullest potential that we get when we work with plants. And so, this spaciousness in your life is absolutely crucial to be able to continue to see the breakthroughs and the transformation and the spiritual evolution that you're wanting to see. Oftentimes, people have beautiful healing and liberation and plant medicine journey, and then they go back to their lives and they go back to the very same life that they left. They don't change anything. They go back to their same toxic relationship or the same unfulfilling job, the same friendships that leave them drained, or where they're, going out and drinking alcohol and partying or doing things that don't fill them up or leave them feeling disconnected. And then they come and they say, oh, the plant medicine didn't work for me because nothing has changed in my life. The truth is, though, we are part of that change. We have to take action. There is and definitely is required this co creation in our healing journey. The plants often liberate our traumas, our wounds, our fears, and they show us a new way to live. But it's up to us to go home and make the changes and choices that are necessary for us to bring about that change and evolution into our lives. And so, in order to do that, we have to be radically honest with ourselves, right? We have to be willing to see the parts of our lives that are not in alignment with that person that we met in the plant medicine ceremony, or the person that we saw that we can become, right? And so this element of self-honesty is very important, and being also willing to let go of the things that no longer serve us. This is really hard, right? Not just in plant medicine journeying and plant medicine integration, but in spiritual evolution and in the spiritual path. It's hard to let go of things that we have been defined by, or relationships that we have invested so much time into, but they just no longer are working for us. We have to be willing to say goodbye to things that are no longer serving us in our evolution, and saying goodbye in a good way, right? And when we do it in a good way, when we let go of these things because they're truly meant to be let go of in that moment, it's usually that those things are released with grace. If there's a lot of forcing to shift something or make a decision, and it just feels like there's just a lot of tension or blockage, it might not be time to make that decision. But you're starting to become aware of it, and you're starting to have an understanding that whatever that thing, a relationship or commitment, responsibility is, it might not be in your highest good for the long term. And so it's also about baby steps. It's also about really just cultivating and taking one step forward and then another step, and recognizing that the path is long. The spiritual path is a long one, and oftentimes, especially the Western psyche, we're very attached to resolution and completion immediately. We want to see the end result right away. But this path of awakening, this path of evolution doesn't work like that. It's a long, long journey to the top of the mountain. And the more steps that we take, the more we realize how far we have to go. And so there also, is a necessity to have that inner patience, that inner grace, that understanding that we are doing our work, we're growing, we're evolving, even if things keep resurfacing or patterns are continuously being shown to us and we're having trouble releasing them, recognizing that everything happens in the perfect time, and this process of awareness, goes ultimately peeling back the layers of the onion, peeling back the layers. And as we go doing that, there's more spiritual strength that goes being cultivated in us. Don't be mm, don't be discouraged if you feel like you're not making progress, because that is an illusion. We're always growing, we're always changing, and we're always transforming, especially when we have that intent. And so, even if things are presenting themselves, or the same pattern is presenting itself, or the same challenge in a relationship keeps showing up, it's showing up because you're in the process of unraveling it. It's showing up because you have dedicated and committed yourself to seeing the truth. And so you are in this process of dismantling years and years of conditioning and habits that are rooted deep within your own being, perhaps even beyond this lifetime, for for your ancestors, for multiple years, lifetimes, and lineages. And so this process takes time to unravel, and it's important to maintain that prayer and that faith that things are shifting, that you are growing and evolving and transforming each time that situation is coming up. It's different than it was before because you're different. You have more tools, you have more skills, and most of all, you have more awareness. And so, this is a key element of integration and the spiritual path and evolution and growth. With this radical self-honesty, there also comes this element of self-evaluation of how am I doing? Am I doing my work? It's not so much about am I progressing, because like I mentioned, we're growing, we're changing in every instance. But am I doing my work? Is there something that I'm avoiding, or is there something I'm running away from? Ultimately, I like to use these three measurements of harmony, peace, and connection to determine whether or not I'm showing up and doing the work that I came here to do and that I committed to doing. In that morning, that sunrise after ceremony, when everything was so clear and I was so inspired and ready to go back to my life and start taking the actions that the medicine told me I had to do. How do I know if I'm doing it? Do I have more harmony in my relationships? Do I have more harmony in my work, in my projects, in my day to day? Do I feel more peace, ease, and grace within myself? Do I feel more at peace with how my life is? And do I have more connection? Do I feel more connected? Do I feel more connected to nature? Do I feel more connected to my dreams and my visions, my prayer? Do I feel more connected to life itself? These three questions and measurement tools are incredibly supportive and can be wonderful navigations to understand how it's going, and to just be able to check in and see, okay, these are the areas where I'm not seeing the progress that I want to be seeing, that I know I can create in my life. So what's the action, what's the step that I need to take to bring more of that into my life? And so this process of reflection, action is incredibly important, and ultimately, really a key point of success in this process of integration. And then this last part of allyship, help, it is very important to know when you need help. And integration is very complex, and there are moments, either an immediate integration or over the period of the first 3 to 6 months, or even a year after plant medicine journey, that we might feel lost. And this feeling of feeling lost is actually a good indicator that your barometer for clarity has been raised, because this feeling of being lost or confused or doubt, you might not have felt that before plant medicine, or you may have, but in this case, if it's something new, or it feels like it's a considerable amount of feeling lost or confused, this is a sign that you have experienced a certain level of clarity, of connection, and inspiration, that you're now seeking that. You're seeking to come back to that. You're seeking to be sustained by that again, which is an absolutely beautiful thing. And so it's very important to seek out help, ultimately, guides, allies, teachers, counselors who can help orient you and bring you back to that place of clarity and connection when you are feeling lost. So community is a fundamental part. Spiritual teachings and being nourished by studies, spiritual studies that feed your spirit and that support you by giving you more tools, giving you more practices, giving you more foundations and approaches to navigating your psyche, navigating your emotions, navigating your thoughts, navigating all different elements of care and nourishment for your vessel, and your wellness in body, mind, and spirit are incredibly important. And ultimately, this doesn't have a end date. This is the rest of our lives. And that's what's so beautiful about the powerful catalyzing energy of plant medicine, is that it turns on a light bulb. It totally shifts the page of everything that we expected for ourselves and everything that we are wanting for ourselves in our life. And so welcome to life, welcome to this next chapter, welcome to all the beauty and the goodness that is to come, and to keep going from this place, and to keep sustaining, deepening, and committing to really, sowing the seeds that you've planted and cultivating your garden. And so this is the beautiful journey of plant medicine integration. And I know that we are coming up on the hour. I am going to answer a few questions and open the space for a few minutes of Q&A. So stay on for that. You're welcome to drop your questions in the chat. Before we do, I'm just going to take a couple moments to introduce to you our plant medicine integration program, because a lot of what I've been sharing about today is covered in much deeper, more extensive way during our plant medicine integration program. And so this is a culmination of many, many years of study combined between me and an incredible team of faculty's experience traversing and studying with plant medicine and fungi for many years. And we really poured our hearts and souls into developing the very program that we wish we had had when we were first starting out our journey with plant medicine and trying to navigate these realms of embodying, grounding down, integrating into the fibers of our being, the teachings, the wisdom, the visions, the medicine that the plants have to us. And so we designed this program to provide the resources, the techniques, the support to accompany you in the study that takes place post-plant medicine experience. And it very much is a study. And ultimately, whether you are looking for immediate integration with plant medicine, or you're just interested in being able to uncover more of the layers that your plant medicine journeys have brought to you and being able to translate that into your life more fully, if you're seeking to get support with integrating these bodies of information and grounding them into your being to shift patterns, relationships, move your life towards a different direction. This program specifically is designed to support you in that. It's designed to help you with your own empowerment to sustain the plant medicine path. Because one thing that I have learned over my over decade study of walking with the plants is that there are certain things that are crucial to being able to sustain this path long term. And one of them is the work that we do outside of the ceremony. And so there are a wide array of tools and skill sets, both plants as well as modalities that we teach in this program that support you in being able to navigate the space with greater awareness and really do this work that needs to happen so that you see the progress, you see the healing, you see the shift and the transformation in totality that you are really looking for by going to work with plant medicines. So during this program, you will learn the foundations of integration, which is like 10 times more in depth what we covered today. how to build a plant allies toolkit. So we go more in depth into which plant allies are for what and how to go about discovering or uncovering which plants are a good fit for you with where you're at in your journey or depending on what you want to learn or work on. We focus on how to deepen your connection with nature, an integration to working with plant diets. There are a few different modules within our content series, our educational series, that go quite in depth into how to do a plant diet and walk you through this process. And we cover spiritual hygiene and cleanliness, maintenance, and how to really sustain this frequency and this connection on a day to day, and so much more. This is by far the most extensive curriculum on plant medicine integration that is available. We really, poured everything into creating this program because we know that it's important. And so the way that we designed this program is that there are three pathways depending on your availability, how much you're able to commit to your studies at this time. It's designed to be go at your own pace through our educational learning series. And then there's also group and individual support, coaching, accountability, depending on the tier. Jaguar, Boa, and Hummingbird are the three pathways that have varying levels of time commitments. There are monthly live workshops. There's access to our ancient wisdom library, which is over 100 hours of recorded wisdom teachings, workshops, and classes that we have collected over the past 6 years with different wisdom keepers and teachers that we've worked with. That has an immense amount of educational information that you can go digesting to go nourishing and supporting your spiritual studies and your spiritual inquiry, and really just taking your time to go through the content. Really, you can go deep dive into it and go through it all within a month, or you can take your time over the amount of availability that you have. And it also includes our 50-page ultimate integration guide that I wrote along with the help and support of my team. And so it ultimately is so much more in depth than what we could ever cover in an hour-long session. And these topics are truly so deeply important. And I really encourage anyone who is feeling inspired to bring more of this into your life to check out our program. Now until the end of the month, we're offering 25% off all three of our pathways. And ultimately, we just really want to make this information available and accessible to the plant medicine community because it's something that is highly needed at this time. And really lacking in a lot of plant medicine circles and communities, this element of in-depth integration, knowledge acquisition, and tools and skill sets and tool sets to be able to navigate this realm of plant medicine. And so fourvisionsintegration.com, you can go and check it out. It has all the information about our pathways, and we're super available and here to support you in deciding which pathway is right for you or answering any other questions that you have about plant medicine integration and our program. So that is everything that I have for tonight. Thank you all so much for being here and tuning in for this. Going to take opportunity to answer a couple questions now before we end. And if anyone does have to jump off, we will be sending out the recording hopefully tomorrow. So thank you everyone who has taken this time out of your evening to be with us and to drop in and connect to this important topic. Really so beautiful and inspiring to connect with so many people who are feeling this call to really deepen and awaken this innate spirit of connection that is within all of us and is part of our inherent connection with life and with nature. So the first question is about how to greet the plants. Shay is asking, can you show the way to greet the plant again? The answer that helps them to recognize you. So this process is really beautiful and ultimately is this experience of presenting ourselves to the plant. And so whether it is before you drink a tea, an herbal tea, or as you go preparing your ceremonial cacao, as you go making your plant bath, all plants have this antenna, this connection, and they're just awaiting us to say, hello, I'm here. I would like to commune with you. And so this blow that I shared is really simple. I have some plant lotion here, so I'm going to show you. I apply it to the palms of my hands, and then in the palms of my hands, I focus my intention, my prayer, and then I blow. And in that blow contains all the information that these plants need to go, bringing me the messages, the guidance, the prayers, the blessings that I need. And then I go applying it with an open heart to whatever parts of my body that I need that blessing or that medicine and that connection. And so this is a beautiful process that we really encourage you to do with any plant before you connect with it and before you harvest a plant, asking permission, all these little elements that basically just open our relationship to these spirit plants and open our inner listening and our inner hearing to be able to receive the messages and the information. The next question is, how does a person know when it's time for the next ceremony? And I love this question. It's a really important question because oftentimes we see a tremendous amount of going to one ceremony after the next, constantly drinking medicine or going to partake in medicine, and they're not seeing the transformation, they're not seeing the change and the healing in their day to day. They stay the same. And that's when people from the outside, they might observe and they say, well, that medicine doesn't work because that person is the same person they were a year ago. So there's no way the medicine works. That is a mistake. And ultimately, what we're seeing there is that the medicine gives us all the tools, it gives us all of the wisdom, it gives us the path. But we have to be willing to take the path. We have to be willing to take the steps up the ladder to be able to bring about the change that we're needing, to be able to see that truly transform in our lives. So when I was talking about those three evaluation questions of harmony, peace, and connection, I like to recommend utilizing those in your evaluation process to determine whether or not you're ready to go partake in more medicine. By doing this, you are able to really reflect and see what you've done, what progress you've made in your choices, in your thoughts, in your relationships, in your life, in your day-to-day responsibilities, and looking at all those things and determining, okay, I've made progress. I see that I'm doing the work and I'm feeling called to go back and connect with the medicine. So both of these elements, evaluating whether or not you've done your homework essentially, and then checking in and seeing if you feel the call to drink more medicine. That being said, sometimes we feel the call to drink more medicine and we haven't been as successful as we would like or know that we wanted to be in that integration work. And in that case, it's okay to go back and drink more medicine. If you're going with the intention of filling up your cup again, strengthening yourself and reinforcing whatever teachings, messages, and information you need to then go back and go at it again. And so those are the two distinguishing factors when deciding whether or not it's time to drink more medicine. Of course, there are other experiences where people are studying with the medicine, so they're drinking more frequently, or when working with the plants become part of your regular spiritual practice or your regular form of communion, or the ways in which you do your spiritual studies. And this is another experience. But even so, even in that case, there definitely does need to be this process of translation of what we're learning in these vast spaces of astral travel, of journeying to other worlds. What's the point of going to these other worlds if when we come back to our world, everything is awry and there's disharmony and confusion and tension in our relationships? There's no point in going to those places if we can't sustain that here. And this life, in this world. And so ultimately, that is why we go to drink medicine, to bring back all the beauty, all of the visions, all of the messages and the songs and the song of nature that the plants sing to us and inspire us and open our hearts to. That is why we go to drink or partake and commune. And so the whole point of doing this work is to see that manifest in our daily lives. Reading through some of these questions. Okay. Yeah, we have some questions about the program. There's so much information on our website, so please go to the website forvisionintegration.com and learn more about the courses and the different programs. And if you're having trouble, I know someone is saying that they're having trouble um, with choosing the program or the path that's right to you. And we encourage you to reach out to our customer service team, and they'll be more than happy to support you in making that decision and getting you set up with your studies with our faculty and with our container. When Okay, I have one question here that is a complex one. Can plant allies be overused or used in an unhealthy way? And I want to address this, but it's a long topic that I don't think I can address in totality right now. But the short answer is yes, right? So here's a good example of it. Santa Maria, marijuana, right? Marijuana is a master plant ally. It's a visionary plant and contains a tremendous amount of healing power, which is both scientifically known as well as, integral in its spiritual capacity to help us in many different ways. The Santa Maria, the marijuana, it's a messenger of creativity. So she opens the door to our creative aspirations and our creative gifts. And not to mention all of her incredible healing benefits when it comes to pain relieving, inflammation, her healing remedies and vast and immense and enormous. However, we over our abuse of this plant over the last 300 years have significantly lowered her frequency by utilizing her in a habitual way, by utilizing her and not communing with her in a place of reverence or ceremony, by taking out this spiritual connection and utilizing her to escape, right? She's a big escape plant that we go to when we're trying to avoid or not face the challenges that are happening in our lives. And so I love to give this example of Santa Maria, but because it's not necessarily that she is bad in any way. She's very much very powerful, royal. She's a queen, the Santa Maria. But because of the way that we have worked with her and taken her out of her ceremonial context, this plant is being abused. And when a plant is abused, it can create dependency, it can create a series of reactions that are actually like the opposite of what their highest powers or their highest expression is. So, for example, when Santa Maria is abused, Santa Maria is when Santa Maria is worked with in a habitual way, without prayer, without ritual, she can cause lethargy, laziness, lack of focus, lack of concentration, and all of these qualities that we associate with someone who smokes a lot of weed, right? And so this is a really great example of the ways in which plants, when they're not utilized in reverence and respect, we don't get the same experience from them. So we aren't able to tap into the potency of the medicine and the plant's spirit and gifts of information. How do we go about resurrecting these plants, whether it be returning Santa Maria to her throne, or whether it be making sure that we work with all plant allies from a good place and from a place of sacredness and from a place of acknowledgement of the abundance of power and medicine, simply through cultivating and connecting with these plants in prayer. Prayer ultimately is the doorway and the portal to always ensuring that we are in harmony and right relationship with the plant. That being said, of course, there's so many layers to this, and it requires, again, this radical self-honesty to make sure that we're not ever going into habitual use of working with plants, that we're always working with them from this place of intention, being willing to recognize when perhaps we are creating that relationship that is perhaps a crutch or perhaps not being coming from that place of sacred communion. And when that happens, being ready and willing to step away from that working with that plant for a time. Dieting, often when we think of plant diets, a lot of times people think about like the Shipibo plant diets, which typically is when you're like working regularly with one plant. But diets for the Yahe culture, for the Ingano people, often include removing a plant from your practice. So, for example, if you work with hape and you have a very regular practice of hape, doing a diet where you enter into a spiritual study for a period of a month or a couple months where you are not working with hape at all is actually an incredibly powerful tool to come back into alignment with that particular plant, as well as to deepen your connection with the plant. Because, for example, if I'm in a diet and I'm not using hape, I'm still connecting with the hape in my prayers, in my meditations. I'm still checking in with that plant ally because it's a powerful, potent ally that has been fundamental in my healing journey. So I have a very deep relationship with the hape. So even when I'm going through long, extended periods where I'm not working with that plant every day, I'm still calling upon the spirit of the tobacco. I'm still dialoguing, checking in, and utilizing its medicine when I need it. And so that's a beautiful process of how to, really just always maintain our alignment with plants, our relationship with the plants, and ultimately, it comes from this place of radical self honesty, integrity, and always checking in. How am I showing up with these plants? Is there anything that's sloppy here that needs to be cleaned up? And what can I do to come into right relationship? And for those of you who are familiar with spiritual payments, these can be incredibly fundamental and supportive when you are wanting to realign your relationship with a plant or, recommit to working with this plant or a plant ally with integrity and reverence and respect. And so that's also a beautiful thing. And we also learn a lot about how to make spiritual payments in the plant medicine integration program. We teach you all about how to make offerings, payments, do spiritual fasting and commitments that are all part of creating a diet or a spiritual study to go deeper with a certain plant or to diet a certain thought. It's a very, very beautiful process, and it can be applied. It's a tool or skill set that you can apply for the rest of your life. Okay, beautiful. Wow, there's so many amazing questions. I'm so grateful, and I honestly could stay here with you all talking for the rest of the evening, but I have to go put my little one to sleep, and I also want to honor everyone's time today and really just thank you all so much for being here. It's been wonderful, and really hope that you were able to receive something from this talk and this class today. And just wishing you many blessings in your journey. May you continue to deepen your connection with nature, continue walking your spiritual path with connection, inspiration, and faith in your ability to continue walking forward, evolving, growing, becoming closer and more connected with all of life. So I'm sending you a lot of blessings, a lot of love and gratitude on this evening. And um, I hope to see you soon and meet you in our integration program as well. So we'll look forward to seeing some of you join us there. Thank you. Take care. Have a beautiful rest of your night. Ciao.